everyone out there in Rumble, X, and YouTube land. Welcome back to Diego Knows. Yeah, I'm back. Welcome back to Diego Knows. Okay, I am Diego, of course. Okay, and today, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about The Devil Wears Prada. The Devil Wears Prada. That's right. That's the movie I'm going to review this time around, no matter how many videos it takes. Real briefly here, watching this movie, which I've never seen before until I decided to read it. I've heard about this movie. Obviously, I know girls have talked about it and stuff, you know. I think this is the one that made Anne Hathaway like a thing for a while. You know, she was a thing for a while. For like a good 10 years, she was A-list, and then not so much anymore. But I know this is when she was up and coming, you know. So yeah. So this thing is about as chick flickety as you can get. Watching this thing reminded me of Sex and the City. For those of you who don't know, okay, I've already reviewed every single episode of Sex and the City. Okay, I reviewed both those movies. Okay, I'm also reviewing that piece of crap sequel show that they got now, and Just Like Crap. Okay, I've got episodes on that too. Okay, I know a lot about Sex and the City. Right? That's really what I started my channel on. Was Sex and the City. I got tired of I could understand how popular the show was, but what I got tired of is how the men were being represented, and how women, especially teenage girls, man, that haven't really been dating, okay, at all, but they were watching Sex and the City, right? How like they watched all these episodes and now they think they understand men. Okay, and they apply the principles that they learned in Sex and the City to the real world. And then we're in for a rude awakening, okay, when things didn't, when the men that they dated didn't act like Big, okay, they didn't act like Aiden, they didn't act like Steve, they didn't act like any of those fuckers, okay, on the show, okay, because those weren't real men, okay, there's no real men on that show, okay. And that's the biggest problem I had with it. Is that, okay, I get it. You want to be strong, independent, college educated, successful, strong women, full of self-confidence, breaking the fucking glass ceiling, working the corporate ladder, don't need no man, empowered, and all that kind of shit. You can have all that, okay, make a show about that. You'll get plenty of women to watch, okay, but once you start putting in pieces of shit to play the men that don't act like men at all, now I got to raise the bullshit flag. Oh, whoa, wait a minute. Okay, it's one thing to be aspirational, to portray these role models for women. You need to be like her. You need to be like Samantha. You need to fuck like Samantha. Okay, like that. You need to date like Samantha. Okay, or you need to be cynical like Miranda, or you need to be a girly girl like Charlotte, or you need to be neurotic. Okay, like fucking like Carrie. Okay. I get you got your symbols there, okay, your archetypes there that you want, okay, that women identify with and they relate to and they aspire to be like that, and they want, they wish they could date the kind of guys that Carrie gets to date. I get all that, okay, nothing wrong with that, okay, but if you want, but you got to put real men in there somewhere, and there's no real men at all, and that's the biggest problem I have with these chick flicks, okay, that men don't act like men. They really don't, okay, and if your topic of your show is about heterosexual relationships, okay, the men need to act like men, because guess what? It's the real men are the ones that are out there, not on your TV screen. They're out there. They're outside your apartment, outside your house. Okay, that's where the real men are. They're not on your fucking HBO show. Okay, definitely not. Okay, that would be like me trying to watch Terminator in order to understand women. Okay, do you understand? You get my point? Okay, only Terminator's not about relationships. You get it? That's the difference. That's not the subject matter, okay? And this movie is a lot like that. It reminded me a lot of that crap. Now, technically, Devil Wears Prada is not a rom-com. It's not. It's got all the tropes of rom, but it's not a rom-com because it's not about relationships. It's not about that. It's about a girl trying to aspire to be a boss bitch, okay? Because we all know that's what women have to be. They can't be housewives. They can't be moms, okay? Stay-at-home moms or nothing like that. They got to be boss bitches. Okay, let some other women deal with the whole raising the kids shit, right? Which is true. Our society, just here in America, our society is just like, it's a dual income. The mom and the dad both have to work. because of the inflation, because how much everything costs. Okay, that's actually not true. Okay, the reason women have to work now, okay, is because back in the day a guy could do it. Back after World War II, before World War II, even a guy, you could survive. Okay, a family could live on one income, on the dad's income. They could. Okay, they could. Okay, but once feminism happened and women started entering the workplace and started going to college and all that kind of shit, okay, now all of a sudden they realize, well, since we got dual incomes, now we got more income tax coming in. Okay, these women have to pay taxes now. Okay, and so that's more revenue for the government. So let's keep on working. Let's put some more fucking Mary Tyler Moore or that girl fucking shit on TV, and we'll just call it empowerment. We'll get Gloria Steinem to write all the fucking articles about how it's important that women pursue their careers rather than pursue their marriages and their responsibilities as a mother. Fuck that noise. Pursue your career. That's where you belong. Okay? You can fuck as many guys as you want, okay? Because by the time you're in your 30s or your 40s, when you finally make it in your career, okay, then you can settle down, okay? Not revealing that, of course, by then you're too fucking old to have any fucking kids anyway, right? So, that kind of a message, all right? And that's where it all came from, okay? It came from producing more taxes, more revenue. They called it feminism. That's not really what it was, okay? It was just a way to get more money, get you to buy more things. Because now that you got your own money, it's the typical American family when you're married, right? Like your husband's money is your money, is our money, okay, right? But the wife's income, that's her money, okay? So let the husband take care of paying the fucking mortgage and the car payments and the insurance and all that kind of stuff, the furniture. Let him take care of that stuff, okay? Whereas the women, they can take their money and buy their Prada, okay, and Manolo Blahniks, okay? You see what I mean? Okay, that's the American dream. That's what feminism is. Okay? All right? And that's exactly what the type of shit this movie portrays and glamorizes it. Okay? Maybe not completely glamorizes it, but it delves into that world of materialism. Okay? And, and I hate it when feminists call men shallow. Like, all we care about is tits and ass and stuff like that. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, that's a big part of what we care about. That's true, but it's not all we care about. We care about other things as well. Okay, but for women, for feminists especially, they call it men shallow. Oh, they'll just fuck anything with a hoe in it. Okay, that's a lot of bullshit. You cannot watch this movie, The Devil's Prada, and not tell me that women aren't shallow either. Okay, they most definitely are. I would even argue that they're even worse than we are. Okay, because they will spend fucking $5,000 on a fucking purse. Okay. Now, men, we do spend a shitload of money on stuff, but it's usually like a car or something. If we had the money, I would buy. If I had the money, I would buy a fucking Maserati. Okay, I would. It's a beautiful Italian car, beautiful car. Okay, I would. If I had the money, I'd buy one. Okay, I would. But you know what? I'm not going to spend $5,000 on a fucking wallet, no matter who the fuck makes it. You see what I mean? That's the difference. That's the fucking difference. All right, this whole materialism isn't even about men. Okay, we don't give a shit what a woman's wearing. Okay, does she look good or does she not look good? The only time men pay attention to what a woman's wearing, a straight man, I'm talking about straight men, okay, is if she looks good or if she looks like shit. That's it. Does she look good or does she look like shit? Those two things we will notice and we will point it out. But otherwise, I could not give a fucking shit if you're wearing a fucking coat that came from fucking Gucci, or if you're wearing, or it came from fucking Walmart. I could not give two fucking shits. What does the woman look like? Okay, that's more important than what she's wearing. Unless, like I said, unless it's really exotic, okay, or it looks like shit, total shit. I mean, if she dressed like a fucking bag lady, of course I'm gonna notice that and be like, what the fuck are you wearing? Okay, but I mean, like I said, if it's just casual wear or whatever, okay, so her wardrobe costs, you got an average looking girl whose wardrobe costs maybe $6,000. Okay, and then you've got, whose outfit costs like $6,000. Then you've got a hot girl whose outfit costs like $100. Which one do you think I'm gonna go with? I'm gonna go with the hot girl whose outfit is like $100. Okay, you see what I mean? It's like men. It's like men with their fucking muscles, you could say. Okay, the guys that have the bodybuilder physiques. Your men are always giving them compliments. They look like young Arnold did when he was competing for Mr. Olympia. The Ronnie Colemans of the world and shit. Men look at guys like, oh shit, dude, man. How long did it take you to get a body like that? Always getting compliments from men like, damn, dude, look at those arms. You got some guns, dude. Okay? But women, they're disgusted by that. Okay? By the big, I'm talking like the Dorian Yates. Okay? The Lee Haneys. Okay? The Ronnie Colemans. Okay? Those guys, those big, massive motherfucker. Okay? Women find that unattractive. Women find that unattractive, okay? But yet the men that do that shit are so fucking hardcore, man. They do the steroids, the diet, they'll fucking eat all this fucking shit. They'll be totally focused on that, on being the next Mr. Olympia, you know, all that kind of shit, right? All steroided out, all right? But women don't find that attractive. So if women don't find it attractive, why would a man do that if he's not going to attract women that way? He's going to repel women by looking like that, okay? It's because they don't give a shit, okay? They're so tunnel vision. They have so much tunnel vision. They can't see the forest for the trees, okay? They in their warped mind, they think that looking that way is going to make them a better man, a man worthy of respect. You see what I mean? When in fact, it's such a small proportion of men that think that way about bodybuilding, that you're going to turn off like a majority of people. Okay, even guys, even I don't want to look like that. Okay, but they can't see it. Okay, all they see is the desire and the drive to look a certain way. Okay, at the expense of all of, they'll sacrifice relationships, they'll sacrifice their fucking health. Okay, they'll sacrifice, where they live. Okay, I mean they'll move. Okay, or they'll sell their house just so they can have enough money to buy protein powder. Okay. They will give up a car and walk everywhere just so that they can buy, some sort of a fucking glute machine or some shit. Okay? Because they're so focused and so determined on their drive. They'll have no friends. They'll live a life of solitude. All they care about is their training and lifting and keeping track of their reps, keeping track of their calories, and that's it. Okay? Why? So they can spend a few minutes on stage posing it out. Okay? Because that's what they think life is about. It's about getting that trophy at the expense of everything, at the expense of relationships, of finances, of friends, girlfriends, okay? Children. Doesn't fucking matter. None of that fucking matters. What matters is getting on stage and winning that fucking trophy. And if you happen to be lucky enough to win it, you got to win it again next year. You can't let anybody take it from you. You see what I mean? It's a tunnel vision. A lot of guys that pursue bodybuilding are that way. And the reason I'm bringing that up is I'm just giving you an example, because that's what this movie's about. Okay, they're capitalist, corporate America. Okay, it's all about, especially feminism. It's all about you've got to fucking break that glass ceiling. You've got to make it. Okay, you've got to start off, in your humble beginnings, and then make it to the top of the corporate ladder to be successful, to earn money, to earn the respect. Okay. And that's what this movie's all about, chasing that dream, keeping it in front of you at the expense of everything else, at the expense of relationships, of friends, family, okay? All that stuff's got to fucking go. The only thing that matters is that you get what you want, okay? And that's fostered by capitalism, unfortunately. That's the American dream, okay? If you start off poor and you want to become rich, famous, and successful, okay, then you've got to fucking put in the work, okay? And the people with the biggest drive are the ones that are willing to sacrifice the most. Okay? In America, that's considered a virtue. In other countries, they look at us like we're a bunch of idiots. Why the fuck would you ignore your children for 20 years just so you can become a partner in a law firm? That's more important to you than fucking watching your children grow up? Than helping your daughter pick out her prom dress? Than going to Disneyland with your kids? Than fucking making love to your husband? That's more important, is being a partner. Even if you fucking make it there, which most people don't, but even if you make it to that success, what have you given up? You've given up the best things in life. The most important things in life. What good is it if if you busted your ass and finally became a millionaire, okay, now working as a partner in a law firm, okay, only to find out that your kids fucking hate you and they want nothing to do with you. Or to find out that your husband left you for another woman. You know why? Because you weren't fucking giving him any attention. You didn't give two shits about his feelings. All your girlfriends told you, fuck the husband. He doesn't need shit. You're the important one in the relationship. Okay? So you neglected him, treated him like shit. Of course he fucking left your ass. You see what I'm talking about? This is why these women end up alone. They end up with money, but they end up alone. Okay? If you ever go on dating sites, you'll see it all the fucking time. Okay? These women, their careers, they're in their fucking late 40s, in their 50s, single, no kids, right? Never been married, right? They're the CEO of some bullshit company. They're making a shitload of money. Okay? Why the fuck are you on dating sites then? Okay? At your age, you should already be settled down. You should have already had a family. Okay? You should be thinking about your retirement. But instead, you're fucking hunting for fucking young, fucking well-hung fucking studs. They're gonna fly you to fucking Spain for your birthday? Are you fucking crazy? The only guys you're gonna find are the guys that have less money than you. You're gonna have to fly them. And I'm sure that gets you off for a while, but eventually you're gonna want a man to take care of you. Okay, but the only guys that are gonna fuck you are the guys that you have to take care of them. You see the paradox? Because you wasted your youth trying to fucking do something else. Okay? And ladies, men, we don't give a shit. We don't give a shit how much money you make or what your position. We don't. We don't care. You know why? Because men, we're raised to believe that we are going to have to take care of our wife. We're the ones that have to provide. We're raised to believe that. Okay? It's already instilled in us. It's expected of us. No one needs to tell us. Okay? If I ask a woman on a date, I automatically know that I'm going to pay for that fucking date. So if I don't have the money to pay for that date, I'm not going to ask her out. You see what I mean? It's not expected that if I ask out a girl that she's going to pay for the fucking date. That's not expected. It's expected for us. You see what I mean? Traditional gender roles. Now, does that mean that no woman's ever paid on a date for? Of course not. I've had plenty of times women have paid for dates for me. But they did it because they wanted to. Okay? Not because they were expected to. You see what I mean? That's the difference. That's the fucking difference. All right? You can't have both. You can't have fucking everything act like a man. Okay? Which is not true, by the way. Most men, when you say act like a man, you're talking about the 0.001% of men that womanize, okay? That can fucking just do whatever the fuck they want. They automatically get respect. They've got the fucking money. They've got the looks. They got the charm. They got the cock. They got the gift of gab. They got all that fucking shit, okay, that women find attractive, okay? So they can pretty much do what they want, okay? They're respected at work. They make a shitload of money. They have power and they have influence, okay? That's a 0.00001% of the available men that are out there. But whenever a woman complains about a man, she's talking about that. She's not talking about the rest of the men. The 99.9999999% of the guys that are out there. She ain't talking about them. She's thinking about that guy. Okay? So I'm going to date like a man. No, most men can't date like that. You see what I mean? It's a lot easier for a woman to get sex. An average looking girl can get sex a lot easier than an average looking man. And that's fucking true. Okay? So it doesn't mean anything. Okay? That's why it means a lot. It means a lot for a guy. If an average looking guy can get a shitload of babes, that means a lot because that's not typical. He's outside of the norm. Okay? That makes him more rare. Okay? But if a woman breaks, well, I can do that. I fucked 100 guys in one day. So I'm just as cool as he is. No, you're not. Okay? Because it's easier for you to do that. Okay? When a woman has that much sex, it lowers her value. Okay? Because the high value men don't want nothing to do with a woman that's fucked 100 guys in one day. Okay, we want nothing to do with her. Unless we're going to fucking dump our load too. That's it. We're not going to wife her up. We're not going to take care of her. Okay? We're not going to fucking respect her. We're not going to do any of that shit. Okay? Because she's low value. It doesn't matter what she looks like. She's low value. Okay? If I'm dating a girl and I find out that she's already fucked like 500 guys, okay, I might have sex with her, you know? I might. I mean, I'll wear a condom, but I might have sex with her. But do you ever think there's going to be another date with her? Of course not. There's not. Okay? I'm never going to get serious with this girl. She'll be a fuck buddy at best. At best. Until I find a woman that, that I genuinely respect. Okay? Because whether you like it or not, ladies, okay, men don't respect that. They don't. Okay? But this movie is just another example of women not understanding men. Okay, like typical dating strategies. Okay, there's things that men find attractive about women, and then there's things that women find attractive about men. They're not the same fucking things. Okay, if you believe in feminism, if you believe in these chick flicks and these rom-coms, okay, what they tell you, the narrative for women is, especially young women, because you're more susceptible to believe this crap, is that the things that women like in a man are the things that men like in a woman. Okay, how does she dress? What kind of job does she have? How smart is she? Okay, how cool is her personality? How successful is she? How much respect does she get from her peers? Okay, how she dresses. Okay, how many degrees she had? What school did she go to? Okay, these are all things that factor into this movie, The Devil Wears Prada. Okay, these are things that are held up as high value. Okay, but when it comes to men, we don't give two shits about that stuff. When it comes to women, that's the shit that women give a shit about that stuff when it comes to men. Okay, women want a guy that's fucking Ivy League educated, that's fucking dresses, sharp, expensive clothes, is respected in his industry, whatever the fuck he does, okay? That's the stuff that intelligent, all that kind of stuff. That's the stuff that women find attractive in a man. That's not the stuff that men find attractive in a woman. Okay, but there's very little romance in this movie. If none, honestly, I'd argue there's no romance in this movie at all. It's not about that. It's not a rom-com. It's all about fucking corporate shit. Okay, it's work. Okay, it's about superficialism and the lengths that people will go to, okay, to get what they want. What are you willing to sacrifice to get what you want? Okay, and is that really what you want? Okay, now for me, okay, do I like this movie? Do I hate this movie? I've seen worse. It's got some good stuff in there. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of this movie surprised me, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed a lot of it. I really did. So this isn't like it's not a chick flick destruction, okay? But they missed the landing. They definitely missed the landing. Okay, once again, you got to go back to the trope: men not acting like men. Okay. That kind of pissed me off a lot. All right. But otherwise, I think deep down inside, I mean, does the movie have a message? It does, but I think it loses this message by the third act. Okay. It's trying to tell you something important here about what kind of person you want to be. Are you willing to do whatever it takes to get to where you want to go no matter what? Or would you rather be a fucking human being and experience the best parts about being alive, the best parts about being human? Okay, because if you sacrifice all that to get to the goal that you want, then what was the point of the goal to begin with? You see what I mean? That's the message, okay? But it kind of just, the ending kind of fucks it up, because all that happens at the end is, she's got her character defects. She's going to sacrifice everything to get what she wants. Okay, she's going to roll over wherever she has to get what she wants, because that's the culture she's in. That's the work culture she's in. That's the way her boss is. That's the way her coworkers are. That's the way she needs to be. That's the way it's done. Everyone else in the industry does the same thing. They step on people to get to the top, blah, blah, blah. And then she decides, no, I don't want to be like that. So what does she do? She just shifts like this. She doesn't change any of that stuff. She just decides she'd rather, if she's going to be that way, she'd rather do it in a job that she actually enjoys, because she doesn't enjoy working in the fashion industry. Okay, she would rather just be a journalist. Okay, just write about the news. So if she's still going to be that way, it's just in a different career. That's it. She's staying in New York. Okay, she has no intention of leaving. She's not going to go to fucking law school like her dad told her to. Okay, she's going to stay where she is. And just fucking, step on people, but in a different direction, in a different industry. That's it. Okay. And to me, it's just like, what the fuck, man? I mean, you lost the plot. You lost the plot. Okay. It's still about being a boss bitch. It's still about breaking the corporate ceiling. Okay. It's still about being empowered. Okay. Controlling your own sexuality. Okay. Not needing no man. It's still about all that stuff, just instead of, in the fashion industry, it's going to be in regular journalism. Okay, and to me, that's kind of a bullshit ending. Why would you go through all that shit just to fucking stay where you are? Okay, I mean, let me tell you something. Every industry you're in, you're going to meet supervisors that are assholes. Okay, every industry. Okay, Not just this one, not just the fashion industry. Okay, that's any industry. There's going to be assholes at the top. All right, that you're going to have to deal with. All right, so this movie doesn't fix that problem okay, at all. It presents it as a problem, but it doesn't do anything about it at the end. And that's the only part of it I didn't like. But the rest of it I thought was pretty good. Let's talk about the movie here a bit. Devil Wears Prada came out in 2006. Dude, that's oh my God, 19 years ago. Now, like I said, I never saw the movie. I did not know when it came out. I just remember hearing about it. I probably saw some clips on TV or something, or I dated some girls that watched it, told me about it, something like that. But I didn't really pay any attention to this. But I knew Meryl Streep was in it, and I knew she played a bitch. But how's that different from real life? Okay, so Devil Wears Prada, 2006. Okay, I think I knew what Prada was, though. I think I was enough along to know what Prada was. All right. Anyway, movie's directed by a guy named David Frankel. Okay, now another thing, just like in Sex and the City, this movie is very much the rich Jewish Manhattan culture. Okay, just like Sex and the City, rich Jewish Manhattan culture. Okay, they live in certain neighborhoods in New York. Okay, they go to certain restaurants in New York. They dress a certain way. Okay, they drink certain drinks. Okay, they act a certain way around other people like them. Okay, that are different from the rest of the country. And that's exactly what this movie is. Rich Jewish New Yorkers in the fashion industry. Okay, very similar to Sex and the City. Very, very similar. That was the same thing with Sex and the City. Rich Jewish New York women. Okay, yes, I know that not all the characters on Sex and the City were Jewish, but they were played by Jewish actresses. Okay, so it counts. All right. And that's exactly what this is, the Manhattan culture, okay? Now, for those of you who don't know, actually, if you're a woman, you already know this, all right? But for those of you straight guys that are watching this, okay, New York is the fucking mecca of publishing, okay? At least in the United States, okay? That's one of the biggest industries in New York is publishing, okay? They publish more books than any other fucking city in the world, probably. Okay, but the headquarters of publishing in New York, if you want to get a book deal, the Simon and Schusters, okay, all those companies, all right, are in New York. The magazine industry, New York. Okay, now that's all died out now because everything went online, became internet, right? But for the longest time, that's where it was. The publishing center. It wasn't Chicago. It wasn't LA. It's New York. If you want to get a book deal, you go to New York. Okay, if they want to turn your fucking book into a movie, they go see you in New York. Okay, even Stephen King, everybody gets their books published in New York. That's where the major publishing firms are. It's all done in New York. The magazines, the hardbacks, everything. Okay, it's all done in New York. Okay, it's one of the biggest industries that they have. Okay, which today, by the way, is all run by women. Okay, women control the publishing industry in New York. All right, and I mean they mostly did back then too, but it's true. Okay. That's the reason there's no like male like sci-fi is gone. It's pretty much dead in the publishing industry now because men aren't getting their books published because it's mostly run by women. It's got to be feminist. And why? Because all these people that run all these women that run the publishing industry, where do you think they went to school? They went to school at Harvard and Princeton and Stanford and Yale and Brown. Okay, that's why. Okay. Which are all just fucking, leftist, hard leftist indoctrination centers. Okay. And then again, don't forget, New York is part of New England. Okay. Which is all fucking liberal. Okay. So what do you expect? You're not gonna, they're not representing the rest of America. They're representing themselves. They publish for themselves. They're their own audience. They don't give a shit about the rest of America. Anyway. Okay. So who directed this movie? This movie was directed by a guy named David Frankel. Okay, he also directed some other movies you've probably seen. Marley and Me in 2008. I've never seen that. I know it's like a chick flick of some sort. Hope Springs in 2012. I've never seen that. Miami Rhapsody in 1995. I have seen that. I saw that a long time ago. That was with Sarah Jessica Parker, Antonio Banderas, and Mia Farrow. Okay, it was a rom-com. Jewish New Yorkers, the same shit. Okay, of course. Okay, I mean David Frankel is a Jewish New Yorker. Okay, so of course he's gonna make movies about what he knows. Okay, Miami Rhapsody. It's kind of funny, but it's back when it's before Sarah Jessica Parker was Carrie Bradshaw. Back when she was younger and prettier and all that kind of stuff. All right. And what else did he do? He also directed episodes of a Netflix show called Inventing Anna, which I've watched. That's a good show. It's based on a true story. It's about this girl who pretended to be a socialite. She faked her identity and pretended to be a New York socialite, and people believed her. Okay, and then I think she just got out of jail though. But she was in jail for credit card fraud, all sorts of shit. Yes. Okay. So he directed episodes of that, and guess what? He also directed episodes of Entourage. You remember that TV show on HBO, Entourage? It was created by Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, Marky Mark himself. About an actor, who goes to Hollywood and his bros come with him. And they just go partying together and shit, right? Forgive me. Please forgive me. I have never watched that show. I know. How can I be a straight guy and not have watched Entourage? Well, I didn't have HBO at the time when that show came out, or I had better things to do. Okay, but I do understand the importance of that show for men. I am going to have to fucking sit down and watch Entourage. Okay, I get it. It's required viewing if you're a guy. It's kind of like Sex and the City. But for men, I get that, okay? But once again, what did I just say? The 0.00001% of the available men out there are movie stars, okay? So they're going to have a relatively easier time getting laid than your average women are, which was what Sex and the City was supposed to be, average women, okay? Okay, and they are average women, okay? But they're getting laid like they're fucking sex goddesses or something, and none of them are pretty enough to be that. Anyway, but moving right along. Yes, and that leads off to the next thing. Yes, this guy, David Frankel, also, he directed several episodes of Sex and the City. Of course he did. That's why this movie, it reminded me so much of Sex and the City. Was because of the camera angles, the coloring, the tone, okay, the culture, the clothes, the dialogue. It's all fucking Sex and the City, all right? I was half expecting Carrie Bradshaw to walk by. Okay, any of the frames in this movie. All right. Now, this movie was written by a woman named Eileen Brosh McKenna. Don't let the last name McKenna fool you. I know it sounds Irish or Scottish, but she's actually Jewish. Okay, she's not Irish or Scottish. Just like Kate McKinnon from Saturday Night Live. You know who Kate McKinnon is, right? McKinnon. You think she's Scottish or Irish? No, she's Jewish. She changed her name to sound Irish. All right. Yes, written by Eileen Brosh McKenna. Who she wrote 27 Dresses, which I did not see. That came out in 2008. And she also wrote a movie called Morning Glory, which came out in 2010. I did not see that either, okay? Because I don't give a shit, all right? Because I'm a straight guy, okay? This whole movie is based on a book, okay, that was written by a woman named Laura Weissenberger. Yes, they don't get more Jewish than that. Lauren Weisberger. Yeah, I know. She's a child of Abraham as well. Okay, everyone is in this movie. I told you, this is like Jewish New York culture all the way, dude. All right, anyway, so she wrote it. She wrote the book, okay? And in real life, Laura Weisberger, in real life, she after she finished her Ivy League school and went backpacking across Europe and China and all that stuff, because she comes from a rich family. Okay, she worked as an assistant to a Vogue editor-in-chief. This was back in the 80s. To Vogue editor-in-chief Dame Anna Wintour, a British woman, who is known as the most powerful woman in publishing. Yes, Dame Anna Wintour, the most powerful woman in publishing. Okay? Yes, the author of the book, okay, worked for her as an assistant for like a year, and then she quit. 10 months. She worked for 10 months for this bitch, and then she quit. Okay? Now, Dame Anna Wintour, who obviously Meryl Streep's character is based on, is the chairman of the Met Gala. Once again, another reference to Sex and the City and the Met. Okay? The Met is like a thing. If you're a woman or if you're a gay guy, that is like the thing. Okay? If you're a movie star or a model and a gay guy or anywhere in the fashion industry, the Met Gala is like a big thing they do once a year. All right? Well, yes, Dame Anna Wintour is the chairman of the Met Gala and has been for like the past 25 years or some shit, okay? She's very famous for being a bitch, okay? And in fact, because she has so much power in the fashion industry, okay, a lot of real-life fashion designers refused to make cameos in this movie because they did not want to piss her off. They did not want her to blacklist them. So they stayed away from being in this movie. Yes, that's true. Okay. Except for one exception, there was one famous fashion designer that did make a cameo in this movie, and that is Valentino Garavani. He did, and I noticed, I don't know who the fuck that guy is. I mean, I know what Valentino is. I don't know what he fucking looks like. But when I was watching this movie, there was a scene where the camera kind of like zoomed in on him while he was talking to a character, okay? And obviously I was like, okay, why would the camera zoom in on this character who's talking when I've never heard of him? He doesn't look like an actor. He doesn't look like a movie star, okay? He does, like, why would they do that? It must be because he's a real life fashion designer. He's not an actor. And it shows, okay? And yes, so Valentino Garavani does make a cameo in this movie, okay? And after the movie came out, apparently a quote from Dame Anna Wintour is that she actually liked the movie. She thought it was fun. Wow. So all these designers were scared for nothing. She actually ended up liking the movie. Okay. All right. I'm going to stop my review right here, but I'll be back in my next video to talk some more about this movie. We're going to talk about the actresses, the actors, the gay people involved, all that kind of crap that I talk about in these reviews. I thank you very much for watching this long, and I'll see you soon on the next one. Bye.